Hello and welcome to Are You Not Entertained? I'm Daniel.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm James.
And tonight we're going to be talking about another movie that's only in theaters currently, and that is Tenet.
The movie Nolan. That's supposed to save theaters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess.
So this, beyond other movies, I just want to say, spoiler alert.
Yeah, well.
Yes.
Because this is very much one of those movies, the less you know, I think the better the experience is. And so if you haven't watched this, I strongly recommend watching it before you listen to us completely spoil everything.
Yeah, exactly. Because we will.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
I'm planning on talking about this. So,
yeah.
Now that that's out of the way, I don't know that this movie necessarily will save theaters, but there were a lot of people that were watching it when we went to see it.
Yeah, I think the theater was at its full 40% capacity for this, for sure.
Yeah.
That's weird. I went on the middle of a Sunday and there was like 4 people in the theater.
Yeah, we went like on a Friday night at the Dolby Digital,
which
is the single one in the area.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, yeah, it was a great movie and incredible in the Dolby Digital.
Yeah, I mean, Nolan's work with sound is kind of, legendary / infamous, and so I bet it was pretty incredible in that scenario.
That's one of the first things I noticed about this film was that the background noises were so loud.
Yeah.
That whenever they're in India, you can really hear the car horns honking. When they're at the lighthouse, not the lighthouse, the turbine, the waves are just incredibly loud. It's very hard to hear the dialogue, and I think that was the point.
Well, yeah, because it would be incredibly loud.
Sure.
Well, that's true. Making it hard to hear the dialogue is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, sure. I didn't think it was that hard to hear.
Yeah. Well, you need to pay attention, period. And maybe that's what they're going for by kind of toning down the audio of the dialogue a little and increasing the sound effects, is to really kind of draw you in and make you pay attention. Because this is one of those movies that is nonstop. And not necessarily action, but every single scene means something or has information that you need. And it is, wow, this movie's bonkers.
It is great.
Yeah, I was so impressed by this movie. But at the same time, like it was constant for 2.5 hours. And
yeah,
it was one of those that, like, at times I was like, God, I kind of have to go to the bathroom, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, you can't. Not in this one. Not in this one. It is very involved and kind of fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
It does remind me a lot of Inception, obviously, in the idea and the execution. Because that was another movie that was, it was pretty fast paced, where if you walked out of the room and you missed an important detail in a conversation that was being had, when it's brought back up later, which will happen, you won't really know what's going on. You're like, wait, what? What did I miss? And then how do you explain it? Well, so let's rewind the movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those movies where you walk out going, but wait, how did this tie in? I feel like I missed something. And I feel like if you watch it a second time, you're going to notice all sorts of things that you missed the first time through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, visually, I felt like it was more like Inception, especially in the way the camera worked and the palette and everything that he uses. I felt there was a lot of ties to Memento, just in the fact that it was a mystery almost the whole time, and you're kind of being dragged along as the audience, not without all the information you need to piece this together. But Nolan has a wonderful way of giving you the breadcrumb trails as you go, so that you feel like you're gaining information. It's not just all at the end, everything makes sense or something.
Right.
And Memento did a great job of that as well. I don't know. And then I also came out thinking, like, this is, I guess Christopher Nolan like watched Primer over the weekend and was like, I've got an idea.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't know. There's some philosophical stuff that I'm going to want to talk about later on once we get through the actual talking about the movie itself.
Okay.
Because they play with time and they hold hard to a idea. And I think there's some stuff to dig into there.
Well, yeah. Yes. Okay. So we'll get into that when we get into your idea later. Yeah, no, you're right. I guess when I kind of compare it to Inception, it's more of the pace of it, and I guess the built-in confusion, because it's designed that way. You're not supposed to necessarily know what's going on at all times, and that I actually, maybe some people don't enjoy that, but I find it very entertaining. It keeps me totally engaged in the movie the whole time. And
yeah, it's compelling.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of like, what Rachel was saying about watching it again and picking up more details. I feel like I could probably watch this 3 or 4 times and just pick up random new things each time. And I mean, I felt that way about Inception as well. It took me at least a couple times of watching it before I was like, okay, so I've got a solid grasp on what's going on in this movie.
Well, yeah, because then you have the additional knowledge of what is happening, so you can observe from a totally different perspective the next time through.
Right.
And I'm with you on the Inception. It's sort of the same situation where they've got this really neat made up concept that they spend a lot of time explaining to your protagonist, and then you get to see it be carried out. So it's the same thing. It's like they're teaching the audience this really cool concept,
right?
Which is what they did here. It was, yeah. Oh my God, so many details.
And in a similar light as well, the characters it's not as much of a character film as a lot of movies are.
Right.
This is definitely a high concept film, and it's about the inversion and what that means for the world, both in the grand scale and how it works on kind of a nitty gritty level.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Which is another part of that, is that if you don't have, like, if that doesn't pique your interest at all, I could see how you'd be kind of bored by this movie.
Well, it's definitely not a sit down and turn your brain off and watch something for entertainment purposes kind of film, because you do have to stay engaged and paying attention, but it is a great reward.
Yeah, after you've watched it 10 times, maybe you could just run it in the background.
Well, and as they're feeding you all these details, it is so interesting, because you're initially confused of what's happening, and then later on in the film they walk back through it and all the pieces fit together.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It was very cool.
So I do want to take a few minutes to recognize the actual production of it, because I thought that the cast killed it for as little as they had the opportunity to. Yeah, for as little as they had the opportunity to build their characters, because they were on to the next thing. Very James Bond-y kind of spy style movie. They did a wonderful job of feeling real. Whether or not you know their whole history, or how their childhood inspired them to become a CIA agent or a Russian oligarch, which actually you did get a little backstory there. But they were 100%. They felt 100% real to me, and that's just, it's incredible, the quality of acting and the the direction and editing to make that make sure that works out properly. I was blown away by David Washington, Kenneth Branagh. Robert Pattinson was great and makes me really excited about the Batman.
Pattinson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Elizabeth Debicki was so good.
Mm-hmm. She was really kind of like the heart and soul of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I think they did a really good job of casting everybody. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did an okay job of casting everybody, and everybody just knocked their part out of the park.
They brought their A game.
Yeah. No, but I feel like they just happened to get the right people, like for everything, like every single role, every single character. There wasn't anybody in it necessarily that I was like, ugh, you just kind of sucked up the whole screen.
Right.
Which happens on occasion, where you can have a really good movie and most people are good in it, and then you just get one person that, even if they're not in it long, you're just like, ugh, why are you in this movie? I wish you would not be.
I was glad to see Himesh Patel.
Yes.
Yesterday has become one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. It's just so cute.
Great.
I mean, in a great way, not in like a pejorative way. Like it's an adorable movie. Like you watch it and you just feel good.
It's just warm.
Yeah. It's like a cup of hot cocoa.
It's cozy. Yeah.
Cozy. Okay. Well, all these things are better than cute, I guess.
Wow. I think you just hate the word cute.
Yeah. I think that the writer and director of that movie just heard you say cute and are now going to like sail away to a faraway island and sequester themselves.
I think that they don't care at all what I have to think about their movie.
Yeah. You're probably right.
I think that's accurate.
Nobody cares.
I loved it though. So that should be their takeaway.
Well, there you go. It was a really good movie. So is this. And yes, he did do again a great job in this. Mm-hmm. Small role, very small role, but an important part.
With an American accent.
Yeah. Yeah, again, you kind of get the people in kind of these smaller side roles that are kind of the fixers for situations. And again, I keep saying this, but reminding me of Inception, where they keep bringing in, these specific people that have a certain talent to fit a role. And that's what they needed. They needed a way in. They needed a distraction. They needed a heist, basically, without the heist.
Yeah, without actually stealing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one gold brick.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And yeah, he did a really good job.
Yeah, a lot of accents in the smaller parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they were all really good. I mean, Kenneth Branagh's Russian accent was really good.
He is a master, though.
I was about to say, is
Kenneth Branagh is just
that isn't really good.
He is phenomenal in everything.
Yeah, I can't wait for the new movie.
The Agatha Christie movie.
Yep, Murder on the Nile.
Another movie we're not here to talk about.
Yes, I know.
Have you guys heard about the theories about Robert Pattinson, right?
Yes.
Okay. His character, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
You have?
Well, no. Which theories?
Yeah, what I was just saying.
That he's the
one
child.
of the theories
my own.
is that he is Kat's kid.
Yes. Uh-huh. I
put
that together in
I was
the
just
movie.
say, that's what we said when we left the theater.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different pieces. I mean, obviously he was recruited later on. They've had a long relationship, the things that are expressly said.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I thought I didn't come up with, somebody that I read about was I thought was kind of cool was his name's Max. The kid is Maximilian would be his full name.
Uh-huh.
And if you put it backwards, the first four letters are Neil.
Huh. Okay. I didn't put that together.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely didn't either. But I mean, it's just one of those little kind of weird tie-ins, especially with the whole palindrome thing. I mean, Tenet itself is a palindrome,
Yeah.
and you have the Sator Square, which is strongly alluded to in this. We won't go into that here, but you can look it up. It's connected in a lot of ways.
Yeah. No, that is interesting. I didn't think about the name thing. But yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense, and is a nice piece to the puzzle. When you're really looking at it and you get to the end of the movie and you kind of know the outcome,
Mm-hmm.
which also tells you the beginning, like, of their relationship.
Yeah, when he says,
because the protagonist would be starting his relationship with him knowing the outcome of it.
right.
Yeah, that he's recruiting him essentially to die, but to save the world.
Right. To die saving the world. So there you go. I guess. Well, and that was, that's what he signed up for. That was specifically what he said. What's a better reason?
Yeah. I think saving the world is probably the best reason to walk knowingly to your death.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to do it, but if I was the only option, I guess here I go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, but I mean, kind of be the sucky to be the person who knew that they could save the world and then just watch it all burn. I really don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's fair.
So I'd be more mad at who told me that I could save the world, because I'd be like, you put this on me? Ignorance is our weapon.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Or is our ammunition. That's the phrase in the movie.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I think that kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about, kind of the philosophy of Tenet.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the first things that the protagonist, and that's his name, John David Washington doesn't have a character name in this,
Right.
other than the protagonist. When he's being informed about how the inversion works in kind of the laboratory,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things he asks about is, what about free will? And the scientist says, well, you had to choose to drop it in the first place. And they really wash over it to just make everybody go, oh, okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the movie, you find out multiple times that if it is going to happen, it has already happened, which completely negates true free will. There could be a free will as an illusion where it feels like you're choosing, but if it's those in the future already know what's going to happen.
Right.
So if somebody in the future goes through one of the turnarounds and is inverted and is coming back, and they had a video recording in the future of you doing something, they already know what you were going to do, and you were going to do it. Whether your brain thought you chose to do it or not,
Mm-hmm.
it is set in stone.
Yep.
And so it is full on, at least molecular destiny. There may not be a hand controlling anything like higher power, but there is not what most people would regard as free will in this world, which is a interesting idea.
Well, and you can't have this story without it, right?
Right.
Because then you can't really travel back through time while time is happening. Because anything would be different. Everything could be different.
Right, but that's also part of it, is you're literally traveling backwards through time, but that has already happened. And the car chase is a great example. That car that's flipping over, and it turns out to be the protagonist later when he's going in reverse.
Mm-hmm.
that had to be part of the initial drive down the road to do the handoff.
Absolutely.
Because if it didn't, he could never go back in time, go reversed in time and have that happen.
Right.
And so it's all set in stone.
And there's not really a way to change that from either direction.
Right. And I think that's why they use the phrase ignorance is our ammunition. Because when you start throwing in your destiny,
Mm-hmm.
you may feel like, well, I'm going to choose to do something different. But you can't. You're not going to. By learning that's part of the destiny, and the choice to do something different in spite of it is actually the choice that was going to be made, and people from the future going in reverse would already know that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's why this movie works so well.
Yeah.
It does.
Free will is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You think you have a choice. However, you've already made that choice. So
yeah.
It's like the Merovingian said, free will is an illusion. You think you're making a choice, but the choice has already been made. Now you're trying, or wait, no, that's the Oracle, wasn't it? The choice has already been made. Now you're trying to understand why you made the choice.
Yes, that was the Oracle. You are correct.
Yeah.
And it's fitting.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, I mean, yeah, in this perspective of time, it is your chemistry and the chemistry of the world around you is what is pushing you where you're going, not your individual actions. Your actions are happening because they're happening.
Right. Man, complicated movie.
Yes, it is.
I
really enjoyed
freaking loved it. But
I really enjoyed it.
I also can see how this is going to be a divisive movie. There will be a lot of people who loved it. There will be a lot of people who didn't. I think some of that's because it is so plot heavy and not character driven. Some of that will be because
2.5 hours, so that might be a little long for people as well.
Sure.
And there'll be people who just don't get it. Not necessarily because they're dumb, because they don't want to think about it, something that in depth for 2.5 hours when they want to go to a movie.
Right. I came to watch a movie, not a science, like do science in my mind.
Yeah. Not a philosophical lecture on the nature of free will and humanity's path through time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I found it kind of interesting that this is a movie where the fan score, or people that have watched this movie, is considerably higher than the critic score.
Mm-hmm.
And I always feel like a movie like that's going to be really entertaining.
Yeah, it does usually bode well.
It does. Yeah, exactly.
I've seen plenty of movies where the critic score is a lot higher than the fan score, and they're good, but they're always more technical.
They're usually like artsy movies.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A Fandom Thread, I think, is a good example of that.
That is the first one that came into my mind. Love the movie.
I love it. It's a super artsy movie that critics loved, but like
your average day person's like, boring.
As an entertainment, let's go to the movies and have popcorn and a soda. Not so much.
Right.
I like that you both thought that, because I thought Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah,
it's another one. The critics loved it.
I've got a laundry list. We've been recording episodes on the award season for 3 years now. So.
Yeah, Roma.
Oh God.
Oh no. Well, and I really noticed it because around the same time frame we were watching David Copperfield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's when the critic score is a lot higher than the fan score.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think
also
that was
a really good movie, though.
Evident in how the movie went. But
yeah, and we'll talk about that one. Another movie that we'll talk about later.
All right. Well, was there anything else you guys wanted to cover before we got into favorite scenes?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, let's dig in. What about you, Rachel? What was your favorite scene this time?
Oh, you had to start with me. I think my favorite scene is, I don't know. I have so many that are so good. I will go with when they come back through the safe haven the second time. when they're
When-
going back through time.
To try to save Kat.
Yes, and watching the plane crash. And
Absolutely.
you see him get sucked under the
Mhm.
door, the opposite direction. When the first time you're like, what the hell? Who are these people?
Yeah.
And
What
then you
just
see it all
happened?
play out. And
Yep.
That was my favorite scene as well.
I think I have to go with that. Yeah, it was really good.
Man.
For me, it was the opposite view of the fight scene, because when you first have them infiltrate and you get to see a person moving forward in time fighting someone moving backwards in time, it's just kind of mind-blowing, but you don't really know how this works or what's going on. And then the second time around, when you get to see it and you know that it's him fighting himself, and the only difference is time,
Mhm.
and that's how he's blocking every move. It's his own skill set, plus he knows what he's going to do next. And just seeing that kind of reveal, but from a completely different perspective, was amazing. Loved it.
And the reveal that Neil knew what was going on the whole time.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
why he didn't
That
track
was
down the
first-
other guy, because it was him.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. Good choice, Rachel, because I agree with you.
Well, that
Thanks,
makes it easy
pal.
for you.
Well, what about you, Daniel? What was your favorite scene?
So I can't call it a scene. I'm not gonna call it a scene. I'm gonna say my favorite setup, I guess. It is when Kat is explaining the last time that she saw Sater. Like on the boat. She was talking
Mhm.
about she was talking about how she was sailing away. And then that she saw a woman
Jump off the
jumping
boat.
off the boat. And
Yeah.
that, that realization or that thought of how nice it must feel to be free in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
which was the complete opposite of how she was feeling. And then we get to the end of the movie, and the person that is jumping off of the boat is her, and she is free.
Truly free at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so, like I said, it can't really be, I guess I could say that very end of the scene on the boat. But I appreciated the setup for that moment, I guess.
That's a good one.
More than just the moment itself.
That's when I almost picked. Because I like the full circle of when she kills him.
Mm-hmm.
Because she just can't bear to let him live thinking he's won.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then when she jumps off the boat and it's like, oh, it was her all along. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, I do love that they tied him up to the boat and drug his dead body with them. They didn't even put him in the boat. He's just behind. He's skiing. He's doing the dead man ski.
Bodyboarding.
Oh, God. No, that was a very good one as well. Yeah. In this movie, I don't think there's a bad scene to pick. Like, it's a masterpiece in my mind. I know not everybody's going to agree with that, and there's plenty of movies that would be a good argument for a better Nolan film or a better time travel movie, but I just love it. I think it works so well together. It's so self-consistent, which is a really hard thing for time travel movies to do.
Yeah, it is.
And it keeps you on your seat. And I walked out of the theater going, I need to watch that a second time.
Yeah,
and most movies don't make me want to do that.
Yeah, a lot of movies you watch and you enjoy and you go, all right, cool, moving on.
That was good, but I'll never watch that again.
Mm-hmm. This one will be watched again by me for sure.
Oh, yeah. I want to see the behind the scenes of how they shot that.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that'd be awesome to see too. Here comes the 4K.
Yep.
Yeah, and seamlessly edited together.
Right, right. There's the trick.
Man. All right, well, then I think that about wraps it up for Tenet.
Yep.
All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our coverage of it. If you did, please go on, like, and subscribe. Maybe hit us up online on Twitter or something like that and tell us what you thought about it, any kind of fan theories that you have. And please join us next time on Were You Not Entertained?